All right, hi guys, welcome to the show. I'm John, and let's talk about some tattoos. So I got a lot of things that I want to talk to you guys about, but I figured the best place to start would probably be at the beginning. So here's my story. I got some notes here. Bear with me if I'm reading a little bit. Uh, but yeah, so here's basically how it goes. My grandfather was a painter, so he always got me into being an artist. Uh, he did a lot of like landscape paintings and things like that, which I mean, I still enjoy doing like landscape tattoos, mountains and trees and like little mountain streams and that kind of thing, whatever. Uh, yeah, so I mean, I've kind of always been an artist to some degree. I guess eventually it made sense to become a tattoo artist as like the next logical evolution of the art that I was making. Um, so yeah, I mean, early days I was always an artist on paper. I did some drawing, did some painting, things like that. Uh, before, I mean, I want to say probably early 2000s. Uh, I was 19, 20. Uh, did a bunch of random tattoos here and there, mostly with like homemade tattoo machines and stuff like that. I mean, we all started somewhere, right? Um, Around like 2001 or so, something like that, I ended up meeting my friend Cody. Uh, he was a tattoo artist in Oklahoma. At the time in Oklahoma, tattooing was still illegal. Oklahoma was actually like the last state that legalized tattooing for the state. But yeah, so in those early days, it was a little weird because tattooing was illegal. There were no tattoo shops. Um, there was really all the tattoo culture was underground. So yeah, I ended up meeting Cody. He did a bunch of tattoos for me. I got started really like being serious about tattoos after I met Cody. Uh, I did a lot of drawing for him. I mean, obviously, I drew a lot of my own tattoos back then, but I started drawing Flash. Started working with him and drawing designs that he tattooed on other people and things like that. I mean, I brought so many of my friends to get tattooed by Cody too. Um, and shh, don't tell, it was at his house. But yeah, there were no tattoo shops, so we did the best we could. Um, Around about 2003, started to like really take things seriously. I started to get my own equipment and stuff. Started to do some like real tattoos, or at least try to the best that I could. Um, Started reading a lot. Back then the internet was what it is today, but there were a lot of books still, so I read a lot of books. Talked to a lot of people, talked to a lot of artists. I mean, I watched a lot of people work, and honestly, I feel like I learned a lot just from watching other people work, which is cool. I'm thankful to have gotten to watch so many people work, especially in those early days. Um, about 2005, uh, we opened up our first shop in Oklahoma with Cody and Tigger. Tigger was my first boss. He was a nut job, but he was cool. He gave me my start, so that's something, right? Uh, so yeah, we opened up Tiger Moon Tattoo, and honestly, like I showed up the first day for what I thought was going to be an apprenticeship, and Tigger put me right to work. He was like, "Here's your client. There's your stencil. Go start tattooing." So that was kind of that. I mean, thankfully, I had already done some stuff, but yeah. I mean, I was nervous as fuck, but we made it work. Um, so yeah, we had a little shop. I mean, we had really one artist who was experienced. I mean, Cody had been tattooing for, I mean, probably 7 or 8 years, maybe at this point. So he was experienced, not necessarily in a shop, but he was experienced with doing tattoos. Um, Wolf was the one who worked. He had been in a few shops. He had been tattooing for maybe like 20 years or so. Um, and then it was me. We also had two other artists, Katie and Archie, uh, who were both brand new, pretty much. So it was a lot of us fresh-faced young artists. We didn't know anything about anything, but we were ready to do some tattoos. So yeah, 2005, we get that going. Um, wasn't until 2006 that the legislation got passed and actually legalized tattooing. Um, During that time, we did have our shop raided. A bunch of us got arrested. All of our equipment got confiscated. I mean, me and a couple other dudes spent the night in jail. Super fun. Uh, we bailed out the next day, collected up what spare equipment we had, and we opened right back up. Um, I mean, it was kind of at that point we just needed enough people to stand together, and just say like it's time to change this. So yeah, 2006 we start getting the legislation going. Um, there was a coalition of tattoo shops that we belonged to, um, and long story short, ended up having to sue the state of Oklahoma Health Department for some of the requirements that they were trying to impose. Um, and we of course ended up winning. That's what really pushed it over the line and got the legislation changed. Um, from there, it was a whirlwind. I mean, it was definitely like crazy times that first year after the legislation got passed. Um, in order to get our licenses there, we had to be able to prove, I'm pretty sure it was like 1,000 hours of tattooing, to kind of get grandfathered in, is what they called it. So basically, we had to go through with pictures of our tattoos and give estimates of how long each tattoo took. And, they'd have to go through, they had a special department at the health department that um, went through everything to try and verify make sure that everybody had the proper number of hours and stuff, and then of course we had to take our bloodborne pathogens, we had to take a CPR course, first aid course, um, but then we got licensed. And I know not every state requires a license. New York doesn't, but Oklahoma was pretty strict back in those days, so they were like, yeah, you're gonna have to have a license. I mean, the health department was very involved. They wanted to be involved in everything and check up on everything, and I mean, I guess for good reason, but uh, it was time again. It was time for a change. It was time for tattoos to be accepted everywhere. Um, so yeah, I mean, we had our first shop open, Tiger Moon Tattoos. We were the first shop in our town's history. We were the first shop in our county's history. We were definitely among the first handful of shops in Oklahoma, which was pretty cool. I mean, again, that first year was definitely a whirlwind. It felt like tattooing in the Wild West. Um, there weren't tattoo supply shops everywhere. You couldn't just order shit online like you can now. Um, I mean, like my first shop, we didn't even have. I mean, Wi-Fi didn't exist yet. We didn't even have a computer at all. We had a copy machine. We had a bunch of tattoo magazines and like National Geographics and stuff. Somebody wanted a tiger tattoo. You needed to know how to draw a tiger, right? I mean, it was definitely tougher, but in a lot of ways, it was a lot more freeing too. I feel like there was because people didn't know as much about it. They deferred to our opinion a lot more than they do these days. These days, I feel like everybody's an expert. There's so much information and misinformation on TikTok and YouTube and Instagram and all the places. Uh, so it's a little harder these days. I feel like to sort through the noise and get to some of the actual information and advice that's going to help. Uh, but that's part of what this is. I feel like there's a lot of artists in the area who's got good advice to share, um, fun stories to share. We want this to be fun. Want to try and help people out. It's going to be a good time. So yeah, basically that's my story, or at least how it started. From there, I moved to a couple of shops. Um, Eventually made my way up here to New York. Been tattooing up here. I mean, I've been tattooing in New York probably 15, 17 years, something like that. Um, I mean, let's see. I started in 2003, so we're looking at like 22 years overall. Feel like that's a pretty good start. Still feel like I got a long ways to go. Hope I'm still tattooing, another 20 years from now. Um, yeah, I mean, I guess that's basically my whole story, or at least, the basics of it. Uh, I've done more tattoos than I could possibly count. I mean, at this point, tens of thousands. Uh, I hope to do another 10,000. Hope to do 20 more thousand more tattoos. Um, it's great. I love it. I can't imagine doing anything else. It's stressful. You guys make it stressful sometimes. I'm kidding mostly, but no, you guys really do. But it's fun. Um, I love it. I know all the other artists that I work with and talk to, like, we love it. It's a lot. There's a lot to it. Uh, especially these days. Again, I feel like a whole lot gets convoluted. Um, you know, the industry has changed so much, and that's part of what we're going to talk about in here. Is like, uh, you know, how it used to be, different changes, um, ways that it's better or tougher now. Because in a lot of ways, it really is better. I mean, it's much weirder than it ever was before, but in a lot of ways, it's better. We have so much more access to people. We have so much more access to like reference, so many more tools to make what we do easier. Um, which is great. I mean, being able to get a hold of supplies is a lot easier too. Um, we used to have to like order from a catalog and like, you'd have to actually call in on a phone, talk to somebody, they'd take your order or whatever, and sometimes it'd be 2 or 3 weeks before supplies would get finally mailed out to you or whatever. So these days being able to order stuff online and have it shipped to you within a few days to a week is just amazing. Like it's definitely changed a lot of things, made things a lot easier. Um, I mean, drawing on tablets and stuff. I feel like we should all be able to draw on paper, obviously, but the tablets help a lot. I mean, um, being able to make little changes on the fly for customers where, you used to have to like start completely over and redraw everything from the ground up. I feel like tablets make it a little easier to, fine tune things on the fly. Um, I don't necessarily think that we should depend on those, but it's a great tool to have that we didn't used to have. Um, I mean, even like stencil makers have come a long way. I mean, I still know there's a ton of artists that love those old school Thermofax machines, and they're great for what they do. But there's so many more options these days, and you can kind of pick and choose and find what works for you. Um, but yeah, so I guess that's about it for now. I've got a lot of cool stuff coming for you guys. We're gonna talk to some other local artists. Um, we're gonna get some stories. We're gonna get some advice. We're gonna, get some of their thoughts and stuff too. I definitely reach out if you want to be involved. I'm gonna talk to some just like average tattoo collectors as well. Get their thoughts. We'll talk to them about some of their favorite tattoos or their favorite artists, places they like to go, maybe some stories behind their tattoos even. But yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of cool stuff for us to talk about. Let me know in the comments if there's specific things that you guys would like to have featured on the show, things that you guys would like to talk about. Um, yeah, I mean, basically anything that has to do with the tattoo world anywhere. Um, we're gonna keep it positive, but I mean, other than that, I'm willing to talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. Um, but yeah, stay tuned. We're gonna talk to some other people, and we'll get this going right. Thanks for listening. Talk to you guys soon.